worse by the hour after this week's Israeli airstrikes on Syrian military targets. The regime of Bashar al-Assad in Syria is now warning of a, quote, surprise response to what it called Israeli aggression. As you'll recall, Israeli warplanes on Wednesday bombed targets just outside the capital city of Damascus, Syria. A U.S. official says it was a strike on a convoy that was headed for Lebanon, which they say could have been an attempt to transfer weapons to Hezbollah, a group that the United States government considers a terrorist organization. Theoretically, missiles would give Hezbollah the ability to shoot down Israeli jets and helicopters and drones. Syria, on the other hand, claims the Israelis hit some kind of military research lab. So far, the Israelis haven't said a thing, as is par for the course. And, of course, Iran is also in the mix here. Syria and Iran are close allies. Last week, the Iranian regime said that any attack on Syria is an attack on them. With that, the Fox Sports chief correspondent, Jonathan Hunt, is here. And, Jonathan, if somebody was moving those missiles, why now?
Well, given Israel's threats to act if those weapons were moved over the past weeks and months, it's unlikely this decision was taken lightly. And according to experts like Andrew Tabler at the Washington Institute, it may well be a sign that the Syrian regime and its allies are becoming increasingly concerned that the rebels might be able to overrun those facilities and get their hands on those weapons. Listen.
It could very well be that they just did not want these weapons to fall into the hands of the rebels. Something must have created the necessity for them to move them. I don't think it was because they just felt like it. I think that rebel encroachments, whether there or elsewhere, has forced Hezbollah, the Assad regime in Iran, to keep their powder dry and literally move weapons where they can keep them the safest.
As for the threat of retaliation, nobody seriously thinks the Syrian military is about to strike at Israel. Assad knows that would be a suicide mission. There is a great fear, though, that Syria and Iran might use their Hezbollah proxies to carry out terrorist attacks against Israeli interests anywhere. Shep.
And, Jonathan, Iran is a major player in all of this.
Yeah, and some very interesting comments we've just heard from Secretary of State Hillary Clinton on Iran. She has just said that the window for negotiations with Iran over its nuclear program cannot stay open, quote, for too much longer. Now, we know that high-level Israeli officials have been visiting and talking with their Pentagon counterparts. Now, Hillary Clinton is saying in the clearest way yet that time is running out. In other words, action might be coming. In that context, Israeli strikes in Syria make a lot of sense because it would degrade the retaliatory abilities of Iran and its allies. All this could, and I emphasize could, mean that the U.S. is now moving toward the time frame Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister, laid out in that speech, you'll remember, at the UN last September. He said by next spring, at the latest, next summer, Iran could be moving to the final stage. We could be moving towards action.
Jonathan, thanks. And now there's word that Iran plans to speed up its program to enrich uranium, which is, of course, a key ingredient in nuclear weapons. The Associated Press reporting today that Iranian officials told the UN's Atomic Watchdog Agency they want to install thousands of new machines that work up to 3 times faster than the ones they have now. The Iranians claim they want nuclear fuel for only energy and scientific purposes.